Hey, what's going on everyone? If you are exploring switching from either Android to iOS or iOS to Android, then today I'm going to be going over a few differences between Android OS on a Google Pixel Fold Pro 2 and iOS on an iPhone 14 Pro Max. It's important to note that I will not be going over the specs of the phones, but focusing more so on the OS and day-to-day use. If this video helps you to decide which may be better for you, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe. Last thing to note before getting into this is that this video is not sponsored by anyone. Everything you see in the video I've paid for myself, and to help me hold the phones to show the side-by-sides is a O-Snap grip on each phone. In my left hand here we have the Google Pixel Fold, and then the right side here we have the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Alright, so jumping first onto the lock screen. So Google and iPhone are both capable of always-on displays, as you can see here. Looking on the Google phone, I can set up a couple different widgets down here in the corners. I am invited to see a little bit more information as far as the view about my notifications on here as well. These three little dots here. On the iPhone specifically, I downloaded an app called Lock Launcher. I think it was a few bucks in the App Store. This gives me a little bit more customization of just being able to place certain apps or shortcuts directly onto my lock screen. So this app for me is a game changer when I'm trying to quickly access things like messages, maps, ChatGPT, Slack, whatever. You can customize it, change it, make the apps bigger, things like that. Okay, so next getting into unlocking the phone. With Google, you have a fingerprint sensor on the side above the volume controls there. And iOS kind of aims to get you to use their Face ID. Google also does have Face ID. Both are pretty decent. I think iOS does a better job overall, especially if your hands are full. It's easier to recognize your face in most cases. Google is not as good with Face ID. It does work, but it has to be pretty perfect conditions for it to work. The fingerprint sensor on the side does work very well though. And additionally, both have pins that you can set up as kind of fallback options if needed. So unlocking the phone. So getting into the notification center and the control panel first, Google wins this by far in my opinion. Getting into it on the Google phone, if we just swipe down, you can get right to it, whereas the iPhone, you swipe down for Finder, whereas getting into the notifications, you have to swipe down all the way from the top, and it can be kind of a pain. Looking in the quick control settings or actions as well, iOS, you have to pull down from that far right side. Anything else, if you're looking at pulling down from over here, you're not getting the quick settings, so you have to make sure to pull down from that far right side. So just something to think about there, whereas Google, I can pull down from pretty much anywhere on the screen, and it doesn't matter. I'm gonna get into my notification panel, and then pulling down a second time will get me into some of those other settings where I can edit those and customize what I want. So Google wins this in my opinion, especially if I get a text message and I want to leave it or a quick glance. I can get in and out from there. So moving on to the search function with iOS, it's similar to using like Finder on your iPhone, iPad, or Mac. Just clicking on the little search bar there, or you can normally just swipe down and that'll get you there as well. So you can search for things like files, apps, and some web searches as well. But on Google, I think it's a lot better. There's a few different options here. We have just the Google browser. We have just searching your phone in general, kind of similar to Finder here. Then we have AI mode, which is recent for me, but is actually pretty decent. We have Google Voice, and then we have Google Lens, which is also really nice. So I think just searching, Google is a lot better for that. So just to kind of demonstrate, we'll just use Finder. We'll just say, let's search on just one so I can focus. Behaviors of a tuxedo cat. And it'll pull up Chrome. Whereas here I can do and sorry for the mistypes, trying to do this with both hands is a little bit awkward. So both end up coming up with kind of the same thing, but with using something like the AI mode or voice mode here, I think it would be a lot easier overall. So just something to think about if you're looking at quick searches. So next we're going to move on to the behavior or kind of the snappiness of the screen. So specifically, I want to look at things like different folders. So if I'm looking at, I have two different folders here. I'm going to try and touch them at the same time to see which pulls up faster. On the iOS, you're going to notice it's kind of a little bit slower to respond, it feels like. And it looks a little bit more fluid, whereas the Google phone is kind of more snappy. So it's pretty quick on the Google phone. Let's just try another folder over here. And it goes away much faster. So yeah, looking at Google, if you like that snappiness, which I do, I prefer the Google phone for that, but really doesn't matter. It still gets you to where you're going. All right, so next we're going to talk about the ecosystem. So this specifically is going to include some things that the average consumer may use more on a day-to-day. So we're talking about a phone, tablet, headphones, computer, smartwatch, and maybe some home automation. So this is an easy decision for me with Apple coming out on top, Apple and iOS. The way that they are able to integrate all of their devices together is a big portion of what keeps many users kind of trapped in that Apple ecosystem. For switching between devices, as well as being able to use your iPad as a second monitor or use your watch to control things like your car, your home, sending messages, iOS is the way to go. Using AirPods to hand off between your iPhone and your MacBook or your iPad, it's probably one of my favorite features in general, since I do a lot of, watch a lot of YouTube or listen to a lot of music. So for me, Apple wins it hands down. Google can do that as well, but it's not always as user friendly. That's why I'm saying for most consumers, Apple would be a better option. If you only plan to use a phone and maybe some earbuds, then you could get away with Google, and they do make Google Pixel Buds as well, which are a great option. But for me, I think it's going to be Apple, since I also have a MacBook, an iPad, things like that. So if you're looking at a total ecosystem, Apple will keep you trapped. Okay, next we're going to talk about some of the apps. And there are kind of two ways that you can go about this. Some people do seem to care, and some people don't seem to care with things like browsers, reminders, calendar apps, whatever they kind of prefer. So this, I think it all comes down to your preference. Your calendars are both going to be great for each phone. You have Apple's calendars, you have Google Calendar. Both are, pretty much going to be the same. Whereas with Google, I think more people tend to use Google Calendar overall, especially if you're looking at like small businesses and integrating for meetings, things like that, using Google Meet. I think Google tends to be a little bit better. Personally, I use Google Calendar, I use Gmail, I use Google Chrome. You can use all of those on iOS, but I don't really know many people who use their default email as an iCloud email. A lot of people tend to use something like Gmail, which you can get the Gmail app on your iPhone and it works great, but it's a Google product, so it's probably going to work just slightly better on a Google phone. But if you're looking at things like the Notes app, Apple Notes, I think functions way better than Google Keep. There's a lot more functionality to it, and Apple and iOS, they keep improving on that as well, whereas Google Keep is pretty basic. YouTube, you're going to find that works fine on both devices. Both devices, it offers picture-in-picture. Looking at web browsers, so this could be more so my just kind of observation, but it seems like most users prefer Chrome over Safari. So Chrome is going to work in both phones. It's going to work pretty much the same. Again, it's a Google product, so maybe slightly better in a Google phone. But again, both are great phones for browsing. If you do use iPhone, I know some people do use Safari, which is also a great product, and it works well with integration between your iPhone, your Mac, and your iPad as well. And Apple, I think, preaches on things like security updates in Safari as well. Also, other people are looking at other browsers anyway, such as Brave or Opera or DuckDuckGo or something like that. So to me, browsers, it doesn't matter as much. Just find the one that you like and whatever device you're on, and make sure it works for you. Okay, lastly, if you want my recommendation of some third-party apps as well to replace apps like Notes, email, reminders, or a great way to set up a family calendar, feel free to comment below, and I can go over some of that. Things like TickTick, or Notion, or UpNote. Those are some of my favorite apps to use that work well with iOS or Android. I prefer those over the stock apps. Some of them do offer subscription plans and some are free, or have free functionality to them. But I prefer those in general. I think they work better, and I can use those with Windows computers as well. All right, so that about wraps it up for this video. If you feel there's something I missed, please feel free to share it in the comments down below. I do think each operating system is great, whereas one may be better than the other for some things. But at the end of the day, it just depends on what exactly you use day to day, as far as, are you checking reminders constantly? Are you looking at notifications? Do you not care? Do you like the ecosystem overall? So all different things to think about. But hopefully this video will be able to guide you on what to do when you're researching for your next phone purchase. Feel free to drop any comments below, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if there's something else that you want me to post about these. All right, thanks.